Welcome back to One Stage at a Time. This is, of course, the podcast where we play through a video game one stage at a time, one level at a time. We don't quit. We play every single level. We don't warp. We don't skip. We go one coin at a time, one jump at a time, one stage at a time. And today we're playing through World 2-3 of Super Mario Brothers. I'm Andy Prim.
And I'm Aaron Neeson.
And joining us again today is our special guest, Mike Votaw.
Hello. Hi.
Welcome. Thank you for joining us once again.
Of course.
This is your third appearance on the podcast.
Yeah, it's been a beautiful ride, I gotta say.
It's certainly been a long, strange journey.
It is.
Well, here we are at World 2-3 of Super Mario Brothers. And Aaron, what did you think of World 2-3?
This, I think, might have been the most stressful level yet. I had labeled the first castle as the most stressful, thanks to the music and the new atmosphere and the claustrophobic feel of the first castle. That definitely had kicked it up over anything that we had seen so far. But this one, this one, you're running along a platform and fish, Cheep Cheeps are flying at you every step of the way, coming at you. They follow a predictable arc, but it seems to be unpredictable at the same time. So, they come up and they're going a trajectory, and then you think that they're going to go somewhere, and you're not quite right ever. So it was very, very stressful. You're running. At least I was running. There might be a better tactic, as in you take it a little bit slower. But I was running through it, Sonic Kid. And
Yeah.
I was running through it and dodging Cheep Cheeps in a panic.
Well, that's how I always take this stage too. Is just full tilt run, and it usually backfires. Because you're right, the programming really is masterful. The way the Cheep Cheeps kind of anticipate your motion and like where you're going to be. I was actually curious, Mike. You're somewhat of a computer scientist.
Yeah,
sure.
sure.
Do you have any insight into like how you would get an enemy like this to like predict Mario's movement like that?
I guess I don't know that they actually are doing that. I think that just might be an illusion. Especially with a game this old, like I find it really unlikely that they would actually be doing much predicting like that. I could be totally wrong, but I was always under the impression that that it's a set course that all of those fish the Cheep Cheeps take.
Could I posit something? Do you think that it's a set trajectory? Could that trajectory easily, with the programming power of the processing power of the Nintendo, rather, could it be affected easily by the screen moving?
That's what I was wondering.
Could they have programmed it so that the fish goes at a trajectory, but if the screen moves over, it sort of follows the screen a little bit?
That's what I was wondering too.
Yeah, certainly. I think that they could do. I mean, it's not even that they could or couldn't do those sorts of things. I just don't know that they would have taken the time to maybe make it like that. But I don't know. I'd have to look into it. Actually, that's something I've always been kind of interested in trying to look into, is like how these games were developed. But
because like they were certainly working under constraints. Like they didn't have a lot of like memory or processing power. So, but it's clear like it wasn't just like lazy slapdash programming. There's some thought that went into it. Like they're challenging enemies to avoid. They're not just following like a really predictable path. You have to like kind of react on the fly to what they're doing. So
unless it's all in our heads,
right?
Unless it's all in our heads.
I do think that it is predictable in the sense that like the level's always going to play out in the same way, but I think it's very likely that they may have just taken the time to sort of place all of them in a way that makes it challenging, that gives it that sense of like just crazy urgency, because you're not expecting, you just get out of that water level. The last thing you're going to expect is that the fish are going to start jumping out of the ocean to attack you. I mean, it's just crazy. It's Looney Tunes, man.
Man, that's true.
Yeah.
I never thought about it that way, but like that's got to be like a subconscious psychological thing that's working on you in this stage. You think you've escaped the water, but the fish just won't let you go.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Does this confirm that the fish are working for Koopa? Or because that was a question last episode, is the Water Kingdom a thing? Are they working for Atlantis and Aquaman, or are they?
Maybe they're just still upset that Mario has intruded upon their
they're just being
kingdom.
like, "You get out of here! You don't come back! Get out of here!" Or maybe they're just
important
hungry.
questions. Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, these fish are terrifying, and I would agree that this is a very stressful stage, perhaps the most stressful one so far. And this stage definitely sticks in my memory. I would say this is one of the most memorable stages in the game for me, because of just how like frantic and nerve-wracking it is. I mean, we've talked about the fish, but there's also bottomless pits.
Yep.
We've got the bridge tile set, which is a first for this stage, I think. And the stage is basically just one long bridge that's broken at certain parts, and with fish flying up from the abyss to try and just kill you. And it's absolutely horrifying in a good way. I mean, it sticks in your memory.
Yes, it does. It does. It was you might know this, and this might be something you wanted to bring up later. But is there only one type of enemy in this level? Is it just the Cheep Cheeps flying through the air?
I believe it is just the Cheep Cheeps.
I don't remember seeing anything else. I don't remember seeing any sort of Goomba or Koopa or...
I think there might be other bridge type stages where there is maybe one Koopa at the end.
Sure, later on, but...
In this one, though, I think it is just the flying Cheep Cheeps.
Yeah.
So I guess we should say that there are a few firsts for this stage. Like I said, first bridge tile set, first flying Cheep Cheeps. That's about it for firsts, though.
First, only one type of enemy level.
I guess that's true. Yeah, that's true. Every other stage has had at least two. Yeah. Even World 1-1 had a single Koopa in it. This is also the second athletic stage in the game after the giant mushroom stage from World 1-3.
Can it be considered athletic? I mean, I guess there's no blocks on the bottom, but I felt like there was usually a surface underneath you.
It kind of fits the mold of athletic stages, in my opinion.
Okay,
and that you're suspended above the abyss. It's a faster paced, more action type thing. It's not so much about searching for secrets as it is about just like going to the end of the stage.
But are there secrets, Andy?
Actually, no.
Ooh, that's the secret.
Possibly
there are none.
The most straightforward level so far then, huh?
Pretty much. The stats are very short for this stage. We've got 35 coins and a single power-up placed about halfway through. That's it. There's no one-ups, no starmen, and no secret areas.
Wow. Well, episode over.
Episode over.
Kidding.
But wait, there's more. I did want to get into some history for this stage. We skipped the history last time, but for this stage, I want to kind of continue some of the history we talked about in World 2-1. If you'll recall, in World 2-1, we briefly touched on the roots of Nintendo, how they began with Hanafuda playing cards under the leadership of one Fusajiro Yamauchi, the first president of Nintendo. Well, Fusajiro had no sons, and in Japanese style, like at that time, it was a man was supposed to take over the company, gender stereotypes, et cetera, et cetera. Fusajiro did have a daughter named Tei. Tei married a man named Sekiryo, and Sekiryo married into the family and was officially adopted and took the name Yamauchi. So he became like a surrogate son for Fusajiro.
Oh, that's interesting.
This is, I guess, somewhat common in Japan, at least in traditional Japanese families, or for that time anyway.
So, like, if the man is marrying into a family that has a higher status, he would take his wife's name essentially. He would take that family
assuming
name.
if that family had no male heirs.
Right, exactly, yeah. And especially because he's taking over the family business.
Yeah, sure.
So
that's crazy.
Yeah, Fusajiro, his health eventually failed, and Sekiryo took over the company and led it to pretty good success, actually. He expanded the Hanafuda playing card market, built new factories, really built up the company in a lot of ways. It's hard to say too much about these folks. We don't know a lot about their lives, but he
long
seems
time ago. And,
I'm getting a lot of information from a book called Game Over, This is kind of like I don't know, it's a pretty well-known text. It's by a guy named David Schiff. He wrote this in the 90s. It's a pretty thorough history of Nintendo as a company. And he goes a lot into the history of the Yamauchi family. I'm not sure what kind of access he had or who exactly he talked to, but he gets a lot of info. But anyway, Seihiro, was kind of like a hard driving guy. Didn't have a great relationship with his wife Tay. They kind of stayed together for convenience and for appearances, but it was kind of maybe a cold marriage, I suppose.
That's too bad.
Yeah, it is too bad. They also had no sons, but they did have daughters, and their daughter Kimi married a guy named Shikanojo, and Shikanojo and Kimi had a son named Hiroshi, the first Yamauchi male in a long time.
Oh, enter Hiroshi.
And Hiroshi Yamauchi, I think it's safe to say that no man at Nintendo, no man in Japan, and I would even say no man in the world has had a greater influence on what video games are today than Hiroshi Yamauchi. His importance at Nintendo as a company and in video games as an industry cannot be overstated. We'll get into him more. I mean, we could fill hours just talking about this person and his life. But for now, he's just a baby, and he wouldn't, inherit his legacy till much later. But we'll get into that more. We'll leave it with Seihiro at the head of Nintendo for now. Perhaps in the next episode, we will talk more about the succession of Hiroshi Yamauchi and why he's such an important figure.
I look forward to it.
Interesting. Yeah, me too.
He sounds like a what's the word I'm looking for? A Paramount man.
He's definitely an interesting person. Before we go for this episode, I think we should visit the lore corner.
Okay.
No, let's skip it. I don't want to go to the lore corner.
No.
You send me to the lore corner every day. I don't want to go to the lore corner.
Too bad.
Oh, fine. Hit me with that lore.
All right. What real life animal is the Cheep Cheep based off of?
A fish.
All right, Mike wins.
Yes.
Corner over.
He's staring us right in the face the entire time. I'm going to say a clownfish. A catfish.
Also incorrect.
Red snapper. Very tasty.
Come on, now, this is an easy one.
A grouper.
No.
Trout.
No.
Tuna.
No, the
Swordfish.
Cheep Cheep is based off of course, the flying fish. The flying fish.
Oh, sure.
You
Okay.
all heard of the flying fish, haven't you?
That makes me mad. Doesn't look anything like a flying fish.
But it does have wings. If you look closely at the Cheep Cheeps artwork, they have wings, actually.
Wings?
They're fins.
Just like
they have
fins.
fins and wings?
Well, like the flying fish, it's a little of both. Of course, the flying fish is a real animal. Its technical name Exocotidae or something like that. There's different species within this family.
Exo something, whatever.
Look, I'm not a biologist. But no, it's a real animal. They really do kind of pop out of the water and hover for a little while. They have really, really long fins that let them kind of fly briefly.
Right, which is what makes me be like, it doesn't look like a flying fish at all, because flying fish have long almost wing-like fins.
Yeah, they're more like slender and sleek than the
They're
Cheep Cheep is.
not red, I don't think. I don't know.
No, they're more of like a silvery color.
They do hunt plumbers.
That's true. That one is true.
Yeah. Italians really just like they can't go anywhere near.
Flying fish are extremely racist.
Yeah.
Now, the Cheep Cheep is actually a somewhat versatile species. We see like maybe larger or more mature versions of the Cheep Cheep in Super Mario Brothers 3. Aaron, do you know the creature I'm referring to?
Yes, I'm very familiar. I don't remember its name, but I hate it.
We don't know its name, but what was the name? Yeah.
Mike, do you know this creature's name?
No.
Boss Nass.
That's really close. It's Boss Bass.
Boss Bass.
Oh, is it? That's great.
Yep. Also sometimes known as Big Bertha.
Oh, okay. That's what I was gonna say.
that's-
But okay, is that from a different game or
Different
is it just...
sources say different things. Big Bertha sometimes is given for like the deep sea version of Boss Bass. But they're essentially the same.
Right.
creature.
Oh, yeah. It's like the fresh water and the salt water. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, of course.
But yeah, they're essentially just like larger versions of Cheep Cheeps, whether it's a different species or like a more mature version of the same animal is not clear. But yeah, they share a relationship.
It's the matriarch
Could
of
be.
that particular clutch, perhaps.
Could be. And I mean, Boss Bass is easily one of the most terrifying creatures in Nintendo history.
I can't stand him. I cannot stand her. Big Bertha, right?
Yeah, Big Bertha or Boss Bass.
Yeah.
Same thing.
Yeah, she stopped us cold. Like we were playing Super Mario Brothers 3, and we hit that level with her, and she ate us over and over and over again.
Dude, we got laid out and owned by that thing.
Yeah,
It
which
was
might
embarrassing.
have contributed to my anxiety for this level for 2-3 because oh my god, she will just jump right out and eat you up. And these Cheep Cheeps gave me flashbacks to her.
What a brutal move. You think you're going okay in Mario 3. You haven't seen a Cheep Cheep. You're like, maybe they're not in this game. And then it gets so much worse.
So much worse. It's like you're cursed.
Well, do you all have anything else you want to add about World 2-3 before we leave it for this episode?
I love it. I like it a lot. Like it was a level that was challenging and it was exciting and it was memorable. Like you said, it sticks out in your head.
Yeah.
And it was fun.
Yeah, it's a really simple level. It's very straightforward. It's maybe more action and fast paced than a lot of the previous stages.
It could be called "Look Out" the level.
Yeah.
Especially in contrast to the water level that came before it, which is like kind of sluggish in the way it feels.
Yeah, very sluggish. It's slow paced and you're floating, literally floating through the water. And then this one, it's like, go.
Yeah.
Go.
Don't stop. Go right.
Go.
I feel like this level is one of the first level in this game that has a very good flow to it in ways that the previous levels, like even the other athletic level, as you put it, from the first world, because you can hit everything just right and make all the jumps, and there's nothing blocking you. There's no little pyramids that you have to get your way over or anything. And it, I think it's probably just because I grew up playing Sonic, but it's like just being able to just jam through the level as quick as you can, hit all the right things and everything. It's just like the best feeling for a game like this.
Yes, it was very and it should be the other way around, but I recently played Rayman Legends.
Oh yeah,
and it's very Rayman Legends. There are several levels, many levels in Rayman Legends where it's flowing is the point of the level. You flow, you hit the jumps at the right point. And you can just keep moving the entire time, and you have to keep moving the entire time. And this was very, very reminiscent of that. But again, I know it's the other way around. Rayman Legends is reminiscent of levels like this.
Yeah.
These levels came first.
You can definitely see that design philosophy showing through. It's like it's almost like a different person made this stage, and you can definitely see where speedrunning certainly wasn't a thing when this game came out, but you can see kind of the lure for players to want to go as fast as possible.
Yeah,
it would light that fire.
Yeah,
it would light that fuse and get that going for sure. Great level.
Really enjoyed it. We're all agreed.
It's kept the gameplay the same, but it made it so that the game was different and new, and it was cool.
And it's just executed perfectly.
Can't argue that.
All right. Well, I guess we'll leave it there for this episode. Please follow us on Twitter. Follow us also on Facebook
and on Instagram.
And on Instagram. And on everything for that matter.
And in our real lives.
Please don't follow me in my real life. You can follow Aaron. And his home address is...
But thank you for listening. Mike, thanks for being here.
Yeah, of course. It's been a great time.
You think you're gonna stick around for maybe one more?
Yeah, I guess there's one more level in this world, isn't there?
Oh, we got a castle coming up.
Yeah, buddy.
I gotta stick around for that.
It's gonna be Mike World.
All right, well, we will be back shortly for World 2-4, the second castle.
Thanks for listening.
Goodbye.
Good night.
Bye-bye.